Welcome to another episode of Last Week's Comics Today. I've got a decent stack, and I've just realized that I forgot something else downstairs, so at some point I'll have to leave to go grab those. But this is almost everything that I got this week. We're going to start with Night Terror Shazam, which I think is the only Night Terrors that I'm getting, and it's predominantly because Wade is writing it, just like he's writing the main Shazam title, so I grabbed it. I don't think that's the case for some of the other Night Terror stuff, but also I'm just generally not interested in the Night Terror storyline. So in this, we get a bunch of Mary. I do like Mary, so this is nice. And it's alright. We do get what I thought was Black Adam showing up, except she calls him Billy, which I don't know how you recognize the difference between Billy. If Billy's in all black, it looks like Black Adam. How do you tell the difference between him? Is it the point of his ears? Is it because his ears are rounded in this case that he's not? Anyway, so that was interesting. It's ultimately fine. I'm curious to see how this ends, but it's the only one. Like I said, this is the only Night Terrors book that I'm getting, so I guess I'll see what happens, but this is ultimately fine. Up next we have the Lonesome Hunters. This is the new Lonesome Hunters series, miniseries, I guess. The Wolf Child, I loved the first one. This is a continuation of that. This issue, however, is mostly setup, not too much actually happens. And that's ultimately fine. I'm sure the next couple of issues will flesh out everything that's going on. There will be some action again, I'm sure. But you get this kid and that thing, and it's good. And I don't have much else to say. The writing's still good. The art is also great. It's just not that much happens. World's Finest Teen Titans. I've been enjoying World's Finest by Wade and Mora. This is a 6-issue miniseries, if I'm not mistaken. Again, by Wade, not Mora on art, but the art is fitting, I'll say. It's that same sort of ambiguous past, nebulous past, which is weird because, so Robin, or Nightwing, Dick, I guess, is still Robin. It's the early days of the Teen Titans, except it has modern slang and technology, so again, it's this sort of weird past. It's not the present, even though it feels like it should be. It's very strange. But it starts off with a fight. Everyone showing off their powers, abilities, establishing who they are. I thought this was kind of funny. And so we get to see them in action early on, and then everyone breaks apart mostly, and they go to see their mentors, and those are some great scenes too, like this page here. No. And that does a lot to establish who they are. There's then another action piece, and there's conflict both sort of in costume and out. A lot of that stems from Speedy and Robin having different ideas about how they should conduct themselves, and I think everyone is very clear in their stance. It's just really well done, and I'll be getting the rest of this to see where it goes. I'm really enjoying Wade's recent DC work. Immortal Sergeant, issue 7. Immortal Sergeant is a book where it had been winning Pick of the Week for every week that it's come out. I'm not sure if it's getting it this week. I haven't decided yet. I will figure that out at the end. But this is a very good issue. It's just, it's not exactly stalling. It's a little bit stalled as far as just the mad dash that had been the last few issues. This is, I think, a calm before the storm, because there's only 2 issues left. I think next issue will have a cliffhanger face off, likely, with who they've been chasing this entire time, and then that will get resolved in the final issue before they go back home and deal with family drama. So that's my expectation for the final 2 issues. We'll see whether or not I'm correct. But this is still great. The father and son are separated this issue, I'll say. And father meets a guy who's even worse than he is. It's weird. It's a minor bit funny. I love this. I didn't notice this the first time, but this, after what just happened here, amazing. So, yeah, the father meets a guy who's even worse than he is, and just how silent he is as he's being spoken at, I think is pretty telling. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. He's drinking the coffee. Father and son do have a confrontation. There is a meetup with there's some outside help. There's a lot. I guess there is a lot going on. It's just the story didn't move forward. It's more character development stuff rather than plot progression, I'll say. Still, it's great. I love the series. Can't wait for it to conclude. It's just this might not get pick of the week this week. The Hunger and the Dusk issue 1. I'm not completely sure this came out this week. I think it did, but I grabbed this off the rack. I read a preview for it, I want to say, last week, and I enjoyed it well enough. I still wasn't sure, but I grabbed it off the rack anyway, and it is good. I'm curious to see where it's going. I think this is intended to be an ongoing rather than a limited series. I can't tell. But it's essentially, so we've got humans, we've got orcs, and there is a third race that is fighting against both of them. So humans and orcs put aside their differences to team up against this third threat. That is basically what's happening here. I don't know who this is yet. These two, I know who they are. But it's well done. So the art, I think, is great. The writing is well done. Wilson. I think I've read some of her stuff. Mostly it has been Poison Ivy. This is probably the first non-corporate thing she's done. Well, that I've read, I'll say. And it's good. Like I said, I'm curious to see where it's going. I haven't fully decided if I'm adding this to my pull list or not. I think I want to take a look at it, and I know some stuff is ending, so if I've got room in the pile, then I'll be adding this. But I do recommend checking it out if you're interested in well-done fantasy stories. Under the Influence was another last-minute addition for me. I read the preview pages last week, I think, and it's these opening pages here. I'll tell you what's going on, and then I'll tell you how long it took me to figure out what was going on. But it concludes with this kid getting smashed by a semi-truck. And I'll back it up. So there's a hot dog here on the cover. That kid is here. He's in a convenience store stealing hot dogs and live streaming it. That's what he's doing there. These people are elsewhere watching the live stream and doing their own commentary show. So already it's a bit separated, but their reaction. I think the art is high energy. There's a lot going on, and then smash, right? So basically, a kid gets smashed live on the internet while committing a crime, and I'm like, it's the writing is great, the art's fantastic. I have a cat, and he'll be asleep anywhere in the house, and then as soon as I am in here and I start talking, it used to be when I was on conference calls, he would show up and just start meowing at the top of his lungs, and also happens when I'm recording videos. So, I was talking about how great the art is, but I had no idea where the story was going after this preview. Where it winds up going is to the FBI. So we've got this page of 9 panels. These are mostly newscasters, but it's sort of commenters talking about what just happened as far as the internet craze, because that gets established as far as it's not just one kid stealing hot dogs, it's a whole internet trend going on. And where it winds up is the FBI. And there's a guy who makes a compelling case that what's happening in this particular case on the internet is the formation of a cult, and there's an FBI agent that gets sent to college to sort of infiltrate this supposed cult, and this is the cult leader, college student. Now, I initially thought that this guy that the commenters were talking about here is the one that died. That's not true. And it took me the entire issue to figure that out and then go back and reread it. And I'm like, okay, now I get it. But he sort of started things, and that was one of the kids doing the hot dog stealing challenge. Anyway, so it's the FBI at college investigating an internet cult. I think this is 4 issues, and I think I'm going to be getting the rest of it because the art's great, the writing, I have no idea where it's going, and that always intrigues me, and I loved it. Honestly, loved it. Dark Ride, issue 7, we get to see... Keep checking to see if he's coming up the stairs. We get to see probably the most we've seen of the father this issue. There's more black and white pages, there's a flashback going on with the kids as kids, and their mother, and then here father is. He gives kind of a long speech this issue. There's a club that is a stand-in for a Disney club that I didn't even know existed until a few months ago. But it's well done, and the father kind of puts the kids in their place, and it's surprising, and it's weird, and it's intriguing, and the mystery, I think, only deepens, and then security gets called on one of his kids. Like, it's great, but also not that much happens. It's a strange, eventful non-dinner because they don't actually eat, but it's kind of a long speech, and it's a lot of new information. It's, yeah. I'm curious to see where this is going, but this is, I think it's been on the edge for me, on the edge of me dropping it for a while, and I don't know. This issue's, it's good, but it's leaning towards okay. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Astrobots, issue 3, and this, in this issue, we finally figure out which of our characters is the Megatron equivalent, and it's pretty wild, his plan, and just the action really kicks off this issue as far as the two sides and the one guy who doesn't want to pick a side. I'm calling this guy Alpha Trion. I think there's another character that also, whose name also starts with A, but we've got some great action, still a ton of ellipses. I'm going to call this guy the Springer equivalent. I'm loving him. This toy is fantastic. We reviewed this over on Shock and Awe, and the comic is very interesting. I really want to see where this goes, how it ends, and just killer art. If they made a toy of this guy, whew, awesome. So, yes, if you're into robots, grab this. It's really well done. And it's minimal humans, unlike that Rise of the Beasts thing. Fishflies, number 1. I've been waiting for this for a very long time. I am following Lemire on Substack, so I was seeing early pages when he was first working on this, and then there was the Free Comic Book Day issue that came out in May, I think. that had some of this, and I was still interested at that point, and now there's a complete issue that's in my hands, and it's going to be a 2-month wait before the next one. And it's very strange. It's very strange. On Substack, Lemire explained what Fishflies are, and I was unfamiliar, but there they are, just blanketing a parking lot, and then some kids. One kid gets dared into walking across a parking lot full of these crunchy things, barefoot. And this guy is seemingly shot, and what is he doing in a field? Like, it's very disconnected. And then this girl shows up, this snot-nosed girl, and I kind of want to puke every time I look at her nose, and it's very strange, and it's upsetting, and his face is falling apart. It's very strange, and I'm in for it. I don't know if I should be. Oh God, it's on the cover too. Her nose. It's good, but it's also just disgusting. Straight up disgusting. And by the end of it, you can sort of piece together what happened, but it doesn't exactly show you what happens. So there is a bit of an unfolding mystery as far as what the hell happens. But it's Lemire. I'm going to keep going. Not quite lastly, but I did get Arcade Kings #2. This came out 3 weeks ago, maybe, because there's an ad here at the back for issue 3 coming out July 19th, and great, awesome. So I'll be grabbing that, because this is an absolute blast. This is honestly the most fun I had reading a comic this week, and if this had come out this week, it probably would have gotten pick of the week, because it's so much fun. It has, again, that sort of Scott Pilgrim energy. It's everyone is really well designed. This is a flashback where they're kids, and jumps to the present, and but I think my favorite, it's this here. So there's this miniature fight sequence there. Surprise. And then he stands up, he's yelling, he's like, "Round 2, fight." And it's like I can see how much fun the writer-artist is having creating this. And it shows up in the final product, and it's just amazing, and I want to see where this is going. And issue 3, he's going to show up, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. It's outstanding. It's so much fun. If you care at all about just phenomenal comics, if you have sort of a Scott Pilgrim-ish itch, absolutely grab this. If you were playing fighting games in the arcades in the 90s, grab this. It is so much fun. It's amazing, and I love it. So I did also get Minor Threats. This is the Patton Oswalt superhero villain book, super universe thing. It came out months ago. I reviewed each of the individual issues, and this was phenomenal. I loved it. And there is going to be a spin-off. I don't think it's exactly a continuation. I don't think it's this artist. I'm not quite sure, but I think Patton is still writing, and it's more side stories. Hopefully there's a continuation, more of a series that's coming rather than just one-off stuff. But this is fantastic and highly recommended. Also, I got this big bastard, Superior Spider-Man. This is the Omnibus. It's strangely volume 1, even though this is the complete original series. There were some additional issues later, but it's like 30 something issues. It's definitely overpriced at $125, but I've been hearing about how great this is for nearly 10 years. I'll talk about this a bit more when I read this, which I don't think is going to be immediately. I'm surprisingly ahead on weekend videos at the moment. I think I've got 6 weeks worth scheduled, so I think instead of reading this, I'm going to jump over to one of the New Warriors omnibuses, but I will get to this at some point. I'm just going to put this off a little bit longer. So that is everything that I got this week, which was substantial. But as far as pick of the week goes, crunch time, I gotta figure it out. Fishflies, I can't look at her face. I can't do it. Under the Influence is good. All 4 of these are great. I don't know. I think I'm giving it to Under the Influence for being the most surprising. Because Under the Influence, Astrobots, Hunger and Dusk are all great. Immortal Sergeant also great, and Teen Titans, all of it. But the one that stood out was Under the Influence for just surprising the hell out of me with where it was going, what it was doing. So that is getting pick of the week. Berg, you were wrong. Although, good guess. What do I say? That is everything that I got this week. As always, I get my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.